Welcome to the X1 series flight test. This is flight number 2. The X1 series has 2 turbojet engines and in this instance also has a solid rocket booster, which in retrospect was a bad idea. Pilot's making his run down the runway right now. He's getting good speed, everything seems to be okay, and as he lifts the nose you'll notice that he loses control. The X1 decides to go ass over tea kettle and it continues in a wild spin, and for some reason the solid rocket booster was ignited, resulting in a Kerbal death. First Kerbal death in the X1 series. Even after the events of Flight Number 2, the Kerbal Space Program's Mission Control decided the Flight Number 2's crash was the cause of pilot error, which was common among Kerbal pilots. Proceeding with the unchanged airframe, the green light was given for Flight 3. As the pilot makes his way down the runway, things seem to be going quite swimmingly for a change. The airframe was responsive, and the declaration of Flight 2's cause by pilot error seemed to be correct. The pilot cranks his engines and begins to gain altitude. Feeling good about the X1, the pilot decides to ignite a solid rocket booster in order to put the plane through its first stress test. The plane stays level and things appear to be going well. The pilot did remark that the X1 seemed to want to climb and remain in a shallow climb, and he barely had to put his hands on the stick to keep his ascent. As the SRB fuel runs out, it is ditched by the pilot cleanly. Mission Command is ecstatic about the flight and thus far is optimistic that the airframe is of good design. They urge the pilot to push the plane further. He obliges. The pilot gives only minor throttle and control stick inputs. He is elated to be able to let the plane fly itself. He's really letting the X1 stretch its legs and the altitude is being gobbled up like candy. Mission Control is excited about the performance and urges the pilot to push the plane to the extreme. Nervous, he pushes on. The X1 is moving so fast through the upper atmosphere that there's a tremendous heat buildup on the underside of the plane. Engineers declined to worry as their design factored in the excessive friction leading up to the heat buildup. They appeared not to be concerned at all. As the plane gained altitude, the pilot, oblivious to engine design and the science behind it, doesn't realize that he has pushed the X1 too far. He suffers a flameout in the left engine, followed immediately by a flameout in the right one, throwing him into a violent flat spin. He tries to gain control, but there isn't enough air to reignite the engines. The plane is a dead stick, over 20 kilometers in the air. After multiple incidences of vomit, the pilot decides that he is going to wait out the spin. The autopilot was trying to gain control of the craft. The spin eventually slowed down, and Mission Control thought things would be okay. Cleaning the vomit from his mouth with the back of his glove, the pilot remarks how beautiful it is at the edge of the envelope of space. He sees the sunrise, and he sees the oceans below, and he sees the thin blue line of atmosphere separating the space and the air. He remarks, "This is a good day to die." He has no fear. He knows it's going to happen. He's going to try to do his best to save the plane and himself, but he's under no mistake. It's not going well. At his first opportunity, the pilot reignited his engines and tried valiantly to bring the craft under control and make a safe landing. As you can see by the rest of this video, he was unsuccessful, and he paid the ultimate price. This is the second Kerbal death obviously a result in pilot error. After the horrifying results of the X-1 series flight tests, Mission Control and the Kerbal Space Command decided that they needed a new airframe, one that was more stable and could be controlled easier by unskilled pilots. The X-2 was born.